Yeah, so I just think it's very apparent that this is a new business model of gaming that is very similar to free to play 15 years ago.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fear. You know, I saw a tweet from you, and I'm probably going to butcher what it actually said, but it said something to the effect of, you know, I built the largest gaming streaming platform on the planet, and Web3 is bigger. It was something to that effect. And so I was curious, why do you see like this Web3 and the gaming space where it's headed as bigger than where it's been?
Yeah, so I just think it's very apparent that this is a new business model of gaming that is very similar to free to play 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, a lot of people like history, doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
history is, it's like this is it's so funny because I'm like looking at this, I'm like, this is exactly the same. And I don't understand why people don't see it, but I think, some people do. And if you look at free to play 15 years ago, the games that were free to play were coming out were like Facebook games or like Mafia Wars and Farmville and stuff like that. And a lot of real gamers, like console gamers, were like, these games suck.
Yeah.
These are scams. They're I want to pay up front. I don't want to be like nickel and dimed in the game. And of course, what happened was the games became better, more better graphics wise, and more like hardcore games became free to play. Some of those games became the most popular games in the world. And now, if you look at the free to play economy, it's tens of billions of dollars a year going to like from players to pay companies for virtual items like
Mm-hmm.
in the game, whether it's unlocking levels or characters or skins, cosmetics, whatever, right? And so that's the predominant business model of gaming. The model of gaming has shifted largely from paying a fixed fee up front to I'm going to pay, as I play this game for content in the game. And I don't think anybody's going to like argue that they might say like I don't like it. And of course, there's some indie games where there's like we're going to charge you up front. That's all we're ever going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But most people like have accepted the free to play business model, and for the gaming companies, it's better for them, right? Because they can monetize the users at a higher rate. They're going to do it, right? Whether you think that's better or not, right? And so I think to me, blockchain NFTs, inside games are putting digital assets in the games on a blockchain, whether they're NFTs or virtual currencies. To me, makes sense because it's as a next evolution of that. Because it's obvious to me that it's actually better both for the companies but also for the players. And what I mean like that by that is like for the companies, it's like if you turn your closed economy, like the free to play economy, where it's like a closed system, you're the only one who can like control what's happening or build on top of that set of digital assets, to an open one where anyone can build on top of that set of digital assets and anyone can trade them. The players actually own them. You're gonna take a control hit, like you're gonna have less control over what happens, but you're going to create an open economy that, for the successful games anyways, you can create an open economy on top of which many people are going to build and participate. So other people could build, whether it's like gaming experiences or just DeFi like experiences, allowing people to like trade and lend and these assets, something like Fractal, where like there's a marketplace where people can exchange them. You basically create a much more robust ecosystem, and then the value of those assets will grow much more than if they were in a closed state. And so you, as the issuer of those assets, either holding some of those assets in reserve or like with owning a royalty on them, like NFTs often have embedded in them, you will be that's going to be super valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's going to be much. I think those gaming companies will show that that's a much more valuable model. The second thing is like, why is this better for players, right? And I think the reason it's better for players is like, well, instead of just black holing your money into some like digital asset that you don't like, after you're done playing the game or you're bored or whatever, like nothing happens, you're actually going to pay for things where you have ownership of those things, and then you can do whatever you want with them. You can sell them, you can trade them, you can, maybe you just like, when you're done with the game, you forget about them. But it's kind of like, to me, an example would be like if it's like, I don't know, maybe like skis or something in a ski mountain. Like the V1, like the old school was like the skis only worked on one. They like you bought them from the mountain and you didn't really buy them. They just like lived in on the like ski resort, whatever ski resort you were going to, and that's it. Like when you left, you just left them there. And this is like kind of the ownership model that we have today, where you like buy these skis, you like ski on this ski mountain, and then if you want a new set of skis, you can sell them. You can loan them through a friend. You can trade them. You take them home with you. They can sit in your garage and you can forget about them, right?
Sure.
But the point is, like, because you have this actual ownership of it, it's more valuable to you. It's more real to you, And I think, of course, the argument is like a lot of people are going to say, well, why do you don't need blockchain to do this? You could just, it's already a ledger in a database and you can have ownership. They could say you have ownership of it. But the thing is, like, when it's on a blockchain, when you put things on a blockchain, you don't have to have that trust in that company, to say, oh, they're always going to respect my digital property rights. And I think we're moving into a phase of the internet where people don't trust big companies that much, because they've seen that big companies generally do what is in their interests at any given moment, and their policy can change drastically over years. One day they can be like Twitter saying, hey, we're an open ecosystem, build on our API. And then years later, they can have a new CEO and they're like, well, actually, like, we need to control like the clients because we want to make money from advertising, So I think it's just that putting these assets on blockchain removes some of the need for trust and makes people have more faith in the asset itself. It's kind of like US dollars being backed by gold initially. And eventually there was enough trust that they could say, it became a fiat system. They're like, hey, it's not backed by gold anymore, but people trusted it. But in the beginning, in order to get people to be like, I want to hold US dollars, they were like, well, these US dollars are backed by gold, and you could theoretically exchange this dollars for gold if you wanted. Most people never did that, right? But it built that trust for them.
Hey, thanks for watching the clip with Justin Kan. Now, we have the full interview if you want to check that out over at Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Wherever you listen to podcasts, it's there. Just go check it out in the links below. And remind you, hit the subscribe button because we want to pump out more of this stuff for you. A lot of play to earn content. And if there's enough love on this video, maybe we'll release the full video version for you. All right, so go check out the podcast, hit subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. We'll see you next time. Peace.